Hello, welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we're going to be talking about multiple topics including excessive rainfall, thunderstorms, and hopefully by the end of the video we can touch on a little bit of tropics, but I'm not going to be pulling up the National Hurricane Center today. But right now, very quiet here on the watches, warnings, and advisories map. We have some red flag warnings, some severe thunderstorm warnings, and other thunderstorm related watches, warnings, and advisories, some air quality alerts scattered around here, but not much on here, which is always good news. But we do always have some events to talk about, which most likely today will be in the thunderstorm realm. Now let's go to the radar, where we do have some storms in the central part of the country, which has been a common theme throughout the past couple months. The central part of the country has been the hot spot for all of our thunderstorm activity. Some showers in the northeast, just scattered showers across the rest of the country, but what's really lighting up the Doppler radar right now is these central thunderstorms. So let's move on to the excessive rainfall outlook. Here's the excessive rainfall outlook. So we do have some slight chances of flash flooding, 10 to 20% in North Dakota and parts of South Dakota. Marginal risks in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, and some in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, maybe part of Rhode Island. Possibly. You really can't see on this map without zooming in, and I really don't want to do that because this is probably the best view to look at it. So let's move on to our thunderstorm outlook. So we do have some slight risks today in areas of Minot, and that's really the only city there. Then we have marginal risks in areas of Glasgow. I'm going to include Great Falls, Butte, Billings, Bismarck, and then over in this other section here, New York, Philadelphia, Scranton, Rochester, and Buffalo. Everywhere else that is highlighted in this light green is that general thunderstorm category. That means that there is a chance for thunderstorms, but there's very low chance that any of them are severe. If you're in the marginal risk, you have a 20% chance of any of them being severe. Slight risk, 40%, so on and so forth, but we only have marginal and slight lighting up on the chart today. Now, I want to pull up this tweet by Mike Bettis, and it's really interesting. He shows that June was well below average for tornadoes, and now so is 2020. So here's the tornado reports for June in 2020. So very low, and we could actually see the chart. The chart is much more compelling to me personally, but you can see that this red line here is 2020. This is 2020. The white line is the average. So, as you can see, we are well below average. Like, that's a difference of, I'm going to call it about 200 to 300 tornado reports. So, we had an above average April, and then just between May and now June, it just plateaued. And that was really interesting to me, and I wanted to show it to all of you. If you don't follow Mike Bettis, he's awesome. So are all the people at the Weather Channel and everyone in the meteorological field. They're all amazing. They do what they do best, and it's really awesome. So I just wanted to point out that graph to you all, and it really kind of made my eyes open a little bit. So now let's move on to the NAM 3-kilometer model, where we're going to be continuing to watch thunderstorms in the central part of the country, as well as in the northeast as well. You can see it kind of lighting up a little bit there. and then kind of dissipating. And that's really just scattered thunderstorms. A lot of scattered thunderstorms. Now, I do want to go a little bit further in on some of these that are kind of not really showing up. So I do want to go into the north central. We can kind of see how these kind of bow out a bit. And there's also a lot of directions with these storms. Like, these are coming north. This one's coming east. This one's coming southeast. So this one in particular is really interesting because it's riding a high pressure. That's really interesting there. So, and it also starts to bow out as well. Now I do want to go into the northeast, where we do have some storms. Most of these have been coming down from the north, which is very, I'm not going to say it's uncommon, but it's not your standard. The standard is west to east. These are coming straight down from the north, and you develop these chains. Like, where's a good visual of that? Right over here. Like, you have these chains, and they just all hit the same areas. Like, thunderstorm after thunderstorm. It's like a thunderstorm train, and they just hit each other, and the same places get hit over and over again. I think that the National Weather Service in New York, which is actually based out over here, show that, like, the difference between LaGuardia Airport and JFK airports in New York. JFK had 3 times more rain than LaGuardia. And again, JFK is down here and LaGuardia is up there. So that just shows you depending on where you fall on those thunderstorm lines and where those thunderstorms hit, and most of them have had torrential rainfall, you're going to be getting a lot more rain than the neighboring town or the neighboring county. Just depends on where those thunderstorms line up. So that really caught my eye as well. And that's all kind of attributed to this low pressure down here. Now, you know what? I'm feeling good today. Let's go into some tropics, shall we? I want to let's first do North Atlantic. Oh, that's the tropical Atlantic, but it'll do. Actually, you know what? North Atlantic. I'm thinking that if anything develops, we're starting to get into the point in which most things are going to be happening with the West African disturbance line, and really doesn't seem like much here. So let me just go through this real quick. I mean, maybe, but that's more nor'easter like. I mean, if anything, that would be subtropical. Now, let's go to the East Pacific, where things are kind of starting to fire up a bit more. So you have this system right here that develops, another one right behind it that's a little bit stronger, another one behind that's even stronger. Let's check that out. Oh yeah, that's really strong. Well, that would be, if that happens, that would be very interesting. But that forms, let's see here. That would form right about there. Yeah, so that's Sunday, July 12th. So we have over a week until that possibly happens. That right there, like 960 millibars, that's really strong. So if that happens, that would be, I mean, it wouldn't make landfall, but that would still be devastating. Now, let's go back here, thermodynamics, 2 meter temperature, and let's go into today. Alrighty. Alright, So northeast, 60s to 80s depending on where you are. Southeast, mostly 80s and 90s. The Great Plains, mostly 80s and 90s. The Northern Plains, 80s to possibly high 90s. In the south central part of the country, 90s to hundreds, triple digits, lighting up the map here. We've continually seen those heat advisories or just extreme heat warnings in this region. Now, the west is all based on elevation. The desert areas could be seeing triple digits, but the very far north and west in like Washington up here could be even seeing 50s, 40s. So generally, I would say between 70s and 90s, but there is going to be variation based on the elevations. So now with that, we usually go into our relative humidity. And again, I usually say this, where it's raining, there's high relative humidity, and that's definitely the case. I mean, a little bit more in the south and the northwest as well. But wherever there's green, wherever there's green is where there's high humidity and it's moist. By the shades kind of give that away. Like there's a lot of moisture, and that's what it's trying to show you. What it's trying to depict there. And the brown simulates like dry, so it's like dry conditions, and there's a lot of that in the southwest, and there's going to continue to be that in the southwest until it starts to kind of break, and that moisture comes back into the desert region for our monsoon season over there. Then we start to see kind of drying out in the northern tier right over here. Start to see like that cycling, and that's what this has been doing. It's kind of just cycling in there, just keeps the same air mass just right there. So this video is getting really long, so I'm just gonna cut it off here. So I hope you guys have a great Friday.